We've reached the final hour, the post trip on Nemo Nation. Take it away, Phone Master Dre.
We sure are, and I sure will. This is Nemo Nation in the final hour from Fastport Studios. Dave Nemo, Jimmy Mack, hello.
Just looking at you, kid.
Back at you, sir.
Good morning, Dave. Fast.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, the Fastport Studio
Yeah.
is fast, man.
Yes.
We go through this. We rumble,
Who would've
bumble, and
thought?
stumble our way, of course, into your Monday. Welcome to Monday, by the way. Momentum Monday. Let's start calling it that because that's what the whole show is designed for, to give you a little bit of a kick in the pants, to get you a little further on down the road, to make those first couple of hours go by as fast as they possibly can. You know who else is dedicated to things moving fast, huh? Who likes things moving fast, who gives people short bits of information, sometimes long form, sometimes short form, sometimes all forms, all kinds, both kinds. Ike Stephens from Bonehead Truckers. Would you care to do the intro, Dave?
I thought that's who you meant. Ike Stephens from Bonehead Truckers, indeed. He been doing this a long time, a lot longer than we have in terms of being
Social media savvy.
social media, but back in 2010, he said he picked up a camera and just started a trucking channel, and he called it Bonehead Truckers because he was seeing so many bonehead truckers out there doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And I've been watching some of your videos, Ike, and you're right. They shouldn't be doing it. Good morning.
Good morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate y'all having me on. Yeah. I mean, well, but when I first started driving, we didn't have all the, we didn't have YouTube and social media and everything. And I remember I was in trucking school one time, and we stopped behind this little gas station, and there was a pea jug right there. And the instructor says, you know what? That's what you have to look forward to, is D's everywhere. And I didn't understand the reason why we had to accept it instead of like, you know what? I understand that drivers have to do what they have to do, but I understand that we also have trash cans, and we could utilize those instead of just setting them out, for the public to see. And just it's terrible. So that's the, kind of the fundamentals of the whole Bonehead Truckers thing, because I think when people see Bonehead Truckers, they see the headlines, they may see a wreck, they see this, that, and other. And that's okay, that's part of it, but I think one of the things I've always preached on is that we should kind of self-police and just do better as drivers. If we want more respect, we need to do better. We need to dress better. We need to shower. We need to put our trash in places, but also respect each other too. So.
It's interesting that I go back further than any of you guys here this morning, Ike. So I remember the early 70s in trucking. And then we had the Arab oil embargo of 1973-74. That brought up that opened a Pandora's box of all kinds of good stuff, but also a lot of nonsense too. And it hurt the image of trucking quite a bit. And we were talking just last week about on the program about the fact that a lot of the image of trucking today in the 21st century with ADAS equipment in the trucks and all of this streamlined stuff and new training standards, you still have that same stigma of from the 70s that still hangs in there. And you see, and some of the stuff that you see today, though, in these videos, I'm looking at this guy washing his truck on the fuel island, arguing about the fact that he's not washing the truck while he's got the brush and the hose in his hand doing it. Wow. I mean, it's stunning. Some of your videos are stunning.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like in that particular example, you see that, I see that a lot where, the drivers see a squeegee and everything and which are made for windshields and whatnot, and but not your whole truck, And by the way, for anyone here listening that actually thinks that they're actually getting their truck cleaned by those dirty squeegees, It's not getting clean. But it's that right there. The whole point of looking out after each other, right? Like what you do with that squeegee, for instance, affects the person behind you, as it may tear it up and whatnot. But it's the same when you go to the shipping counter, or to go get your load, your paperwork, and say if you have flip flops on and a wife beater on and jogging pants or short, whatever. That image, what people see in the shipping office, I mean, it affects the other people as well. If you come in with a bad attitude, it affects the drivers behind. And I'll also have this argument on, all right, what does it, because people tell me, it's like, well, why does it matter what I wear? I mean, it absolutely does. If you want respect, if you want higher pay, you got to present yourself a certain way.
Well,
it affects everyone.
Ike, I'm going to make you laugh, by the way, two things. The first of which is I don't understand why nobody respects me. I'm wearing a wife beater, I have flip-flops and torn-up sweatpants, and I smell like 3-day-old ass. And I mean mule. Yeah. And, there I am at the countertop, not getting the respect I think I deserve. But it's like, let me ask you a question. If somebody rolled into your place of business, dressed the way you're dressed, smelling the way you smelled, presenting themselves the way you look, and also using the worst possible language when there are 3 kids in the candy aisle with their mom picking stuff out, that's a problem. I want to go back to something Dave said, and I think you'll both get a laugh out of this. Smokey and the Bandit, White Line Fever, Duel, Every Which Way But Loose, Every Which Way You Can, Moonfire, The Great Smoky Roadblock, Steel Cowboy, Convoy, Trucker's Woman, Flat Fat Annie and Sweetie Pie, Truck Stop Women, Highballin', The Beast, Deadhead Miles, and then we'll throw in Fist as sort of a highbrow version of all this stuff. In none of these movies, at any point, is anybody other than Bandit. By the way, Bandit and Jerry Reed dress nice. They actually are. They do present themselves very well. In none of these movies, except for them and Henry Fonda in The Great Smoky Roadblock, does anybody present themselves as anything other than this classless. I mean, that'd be funny, but it's like, and Dave's got a good point. There have been no movies since then that have presented truckers to us in any sort of way culturally where the truckers look like the classiest part of the operation. Sometimes they are. And that's part of the problem that we're wrestling with. I mean, I'd like your opinion on that, your genuine opinion.
Yeah, well, that's been my thing. I have the argument about that. So, we don't dress like the 70s, or we shouldn't all dress like cowboys. And that's not it, right? It's not like, oh, you got to wear cowboy boots, because that's not everyone. The whole instance is just like, present yourself if you want to be considered as a professional. Like, wearing flip-flops to work is not professional, unless you just have a job in your house where no one sees you,
Unless you're Jimmy Buffett's former manager. At that point, you can probably get away with it. That's actually on brand at that point.
It's true.
I tell you what, you walk around at, say, Mid-America Truck Show or any truck show, you walk around and you see all those professional drivers, because hey, that's where they all go. How many flip-flops do you see? How many of the pajama bottoms do you see? But then when you go to the shippers and receivers, when you get out there and you see a lot of the people that don't take pride, those are the ones that don't go to those truck shows, right? And so if that's all you attend is truck shows and stuff, you may not see it. Step out there, I'm not saying at a truck stop, because truck stop, maybe someone's taking a 34-hour break or whateser. But, try to see if you could go into a shipper and receiver, or just watch my videos. I'll just show you, and you'll just see it. You'll see it all the time. And go back to that, if anyone wants to take us serious, whether it be at a shipper, whether it be a company, trying to get higher pay, or the U.S. government, we just have to present ourselves better.
Well, I said something many years ago that really didn't go over well with a lot of folks, but I meant that, and I think it's still true. But when you say stuff, people take it in different ways. But what you are describing are steering wheel holders in my mind, as opposed to the stakeholders that we've always tried to
cater to here
on this program, and going back 50 plus years in my radio career, going back with Charlie Douglas. So you got the steering wheel holder and you got stakeholders.
Dave, I'll tell you this right now. On our chat, Ike, every single person on the chat that I know, from, as in person, presents themselves exactly the way you want them to present themselves, which is, how do we get to the rest of these guys, Ike? How do we tell the Bozo Brigade? That's not fair, because trucking Bozo is terrific.
Yeah.
How do we get to the Bum Brigade to let them to stop being, bums in Bumtown? How do we convince more people to do this? What do we do?
So one of the things that I get a lot of the times from my viewers, from the newer drivers that come on board into trucking, and it says, well, they tell me, it's like, I don't want to end up on Bonehead Truckers. Okay, well, there's a good start right there. Okay, because I show them all. It's not just wrecks. Yeah, no one wants to be in a wreck, but sometimes accidents happen. But you don't want to be, out there wearing those flip-flops. I sell shirts that say real truckers don't wear flip-flops, and I'll just, that's the thing. People, newer drivers, they use a social media and they see, okay, this is, what drivers should be. And there's a lot of, say, social media truck drivers out there that present themselves well. I'm kind of that guy. It's like, okay, showing you guys what not to do. And they tell me personally, it says, your videos tell me what not to do. And that's a start. Unfortunately, I don't have, how many truck drivers are there? I don't have 1 million, 2 million subscribers, so I wish that the people, and we're tackling the whole foreigner thing, because a lot of these guys that dress like this are foreigners, because they dress like that in their countries, and they come over here and then they just wear whatever they wear. And then they do that here. That's a big problem. I want to say, out of all the people that you see wearing all the flip-flops and pajama bottoms, I want to say, I'd prefer to say that 75% that I feature on my channel are probably non-domicile CDL holders. But that's not a proven fact, but that's just my guesstimation.
That is your anecdotal evidence. The fact of the matter is that without looking for it, having kind of gotten into this to kind of find out what's going on here, a majority of the people you've talked to who have been in that kind of inappropriate sort of attire have kind of fallen into that category. How about that for a fancy pants answer?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of them, it's like no sabe, no English, okay? Yeah. Or, well, they may not speak Spanish, but, just whatever country they're from. I mean, you'll get that a lot. That's from the evidence that I see and my mathematical equation, and I don't even know if math has anything to do with that, but I'll just shut up on the whole fancy word stuff.
That's fine. You're doing great. By the way, I want to give you a couple of people, speaking that we are on social media. Dave Harrison of Fastport, and by the way, a proud veteran, says all drivers as well as TDL companies really can offer his service. Be polite, be professional, have a plan, be prepared to adjust from the plan. Marshall points out, and I think it's well said, how often do you see a fancy truck with lots of lights and chrome on the side of the road? Drivers who take pride in their ride themselves do the better job, and we very rarely see really nice looking trucks where the person inside doesn't present the same. That's kind of it too, is that the whole package gives away the game, doesn't it, Ike? Is that you can kind of tell from the moment somebody pulls in, it's all about presentation. Yeah, from the way the tires look all the way upward, right?
Yeah, you look at that dash, and if you see a lot of trash on that dash,
Funyuns.
Just imagine what's going to step out of that truck.
Ike, what do you? I mean, I always ask this. And by the way, everybody should subscribe to the Bonehead Trucker.
Wait! I don't put any trash on my dash because there ain't no room for my foot.
Dave Nemo just sent about a couple of 100,000 truck drivers into apoplexy. Ike, we're going to run out of time here. I want to make sure, tell everybody where they can subscribe and where they can be part of the larger conversation.
Yeah, Bonehead Truckers on YouTube. That's the main route. I'm just kind of a video guy, but if you really want to go the in-depth conversation outside of just YouTube, I'm on X, Bonehead Truckers. Without the E, they only allowed me to have so many letters on there, so without the E on the end. But Bonehead Truckers on X, I am on Facebook, but I just kind of post pictures there. I guess that's about all I do on Facebook anymore. But yeah, mainly YouTube and X. Those are the places. I'm on X. Like, I try to be there every day, but sometimes I got to take a day off this social media stuff.
By the way, that is a healthy approach. I don't know if you saw Dave or Ike. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check it out. They had a big story on CBS about a school that got ahead of the curve. New York banned all social media, all phones inside of their high schools, and one school was already a year into the experiment. The change in the attitude of the students is remarkable, and picking a day to get the hell off of social media is one hell of a way to kind of get your life back in order. Well done, Ike. Those of us who actually live here know you need a break from it. Thank you so much, man. Please, by the way, post this interview on X when we release it, okay?
We will. Hey, appreciate y'all having me on again.
Thank you, Ike.
We're going to have Ike drop in from time to time. And now that we've kind of established Ike's bona fides, most people know who the Bonehead Truckers bona fides are. We're going to have him start coming in and tell us about the Bonehead Trucker of the Week or the Bonehead Trucker of the Month.
I love that idea.
I think it's a really solid idea.